Good morning, everybody. Chester RP Church Devotional Podcast. Mitch brings us in. We're getting ready to read Genesis chapter 8 with the flood receding here this morning.
Gives me grace for every trial. Feeds me with the living bread.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for being with us. Chester ARP Church Devotional Podcast. You know what we do. We read the Bible and we discuss it. Genesis 8, beginning in verse 1. God remembered Noah as well as all the wildlife and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. Now, God's already brought the flood. 40 days, 40 nights, rain falls down on the earth. Everybody is caught outside of the ark, will drown and die. But God remembers them after that time period, and after the water is done, the flood has come, the water has ceased to rain. So God caused a wind to pass over the earth, and the water began to subside. 40 days, 40 nights rain, then a wind across the earth, water begins to subside. The sources of the watery depths and the floodgates of the sky were closed, and the rain that fell from the sky stopped. The water steadily receded from the earth, and by the end of 150 days, the water had decreased significantly. The ark came to rest in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. The water continued to recede until the 10th month. The 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were visible. After 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made, and he sent out a raven, and it went back and forth, and the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see whether the water on the earth's surface had gone down. But the dove found no resting place for its foot, so it returned to him in the ark because of water covered the surface of the whole earth. He reached out again and brought it into the ark to himself. So Noah waited 7 more days and sent out a dove from the ark again. And when the dove came to him at the evening, there was a plucked olive leaf in its beak. So Noah knew that the water on the earth's surface had gone down. After he had waited another 7 days, he sent out the dove, but it did not return to him again. In the 601st year in the month, on the first day of the month, the water that had covered the earth was dried up. Then Noah removed the ark's cover and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was dry. Now, come on, y'all. Noah's in the ark. Noah's in the ark with his family. It rains 40 days and 40 nights. Now, come on. Earth is completely and totally flooded. The highest mountain peak underwater, right? So we've got the highest mountain peak, Mount Everest, underwater. The water has flooded. It is so high that water begins to recede until the 10th month. It recedes for 150 days. It's so deep, the water's so deep, that it takes 150 days for it to subside enough for the ark to come to rest on the top of Mount Ararat. Now listen, guys, this is crazy to me. This is nuts. Noah's in the ark 40 days, 40 nights, the rain. Then 150 more days, that's 190 days total. That's just for the ark the bottom of the ark to sit on top of the mountain. You can't see anything. 3 more months pass, 90 more days before they can ever see the tops of the mountain. So now we're up to 280 days? It goes so far that basically we're told on the first day of the month the rains came in his 600th year. In the first day of the 601st year, he can open the windows. He can begin to see out. So it takes an entire, right, and then he's had multiple weeks before he can then go out and sit his foot on dry ground by the 27th day of the 2nd month. So you almost have 2 more months where he has to see it. So they're in the ark for close to a year and 3 months. Unbelievable, right? And they're sitting there, and they're having to go out. And before they can go out, they're sitting in there. Can you imagine the stench? Can you imagine the situation? Can you imagine everything that's there? Can you imagine the number of times the family said, "Oh, my goodness, will you please let me out of this ark?" God's salvation of Noah is remarkable here. God's salvation of man through Noah is remarkable. But even in the midst of his salvation, right, he has to be patient and wait on God. I think when we a lot of times think about God's salvation, we tend to think about God saving us from hardship, God saving us from pain, God saving us from sin and misery, and it's supposed to be quick, it's supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be perfect. And Noah tells us in this story that it is difficult sometimes. Even in his salvation, Noah has to endure, right? He has a responsibility. We can say this is God's grace saving him, and certainly that is true. But Noah himself, though he's not being punished and judged by the rest of the world, but Noah's not perfect. And so even in his salvation, he has to suffer, right? Man, that just points us to the New Testament and to Jesus so much, doesn't it? Jesus has to suffer to save us. But then even still, as we've been saved by grace, we have to endure in faith. And sometimes enduring in faith is not rosy and easy. Sometimes it's very difficult and challenging. But we still have to press on, for what else have we got? We've got to trust the Lord in faith. And I see that story of Noah, and I pray and trust that you see it as well, and that you'll learn how to follow the Lord as you learn to walk with him each and every day. You guys take care. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.
You carry me close to your heart, and surely your goodness and mercy will follow.